And we are staying with this issue, the crisis at the southern border hitting cities across the U.S. Migrants bussed and dropped off at urban centers, and in Chicago now spilling onto city streets. Right now, 2,300 migrants are living at police departments and airports in that city. Chicago's mayor has a solution, but it's highly controversial. He inked a new $29 million deal with a private security firm to build winterized tent camps. Well, this week we learned more about them. Prefabbed walls and a tent top heated to 72 degrees in the dead of winter. But the Virginia-based company GardaWorld is being criticized over its controversial ties and past, accused of mistreating migrant children at the border and tied to a migrant labor trafficking scheme at U.S. military bases. The allegations prompted Denver to nix their plans with GardaWorld. Well, on Friday, many Chicago city officials and citizens condemning that deal. Take a listen.
We keep piecemealing. That's not working. I don't see y'all bringing to the table people who've been doing this for years. Putting them in tents is inhumane. It's the sickest thing I ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, emotions running very high. And I do want to bring in Jamil Jaffer now, founder and executive director at the National Security Institute. Jamil, thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Natasha.
Before we even get to the allegations, Jamil, do you think that winterized tent camps in Chicago is the best way to solve the migrant crisis there?
Well, Natasha, I lived in Chicago for 3 years, and I can tell you those winters in Chicago can be really brutal. That being said, these camps have been used in the past in winter cities, so they're designed to survive that temperature. The challenge, of course, is today those migrants are not even in those kind of shelters, so they're going to need something better. Whether this is the right answer or not, hard to know. But they definitely need something better than the conditions they're currently staying in Chicago.
Let's talk about the allegations. The American Friends Service Committee found that GardaWorld was involved with the mistreatment of migrant children at the border. We see NBC reporting that they are tied to a migrant labor trafficking scheme at U.S. military bases. I know you've been looking at the details of the allegations coming to light now. What specific details stand out to you?
Well, obviously, these concerns about the way that migrant children were treated at the border near Texas at a GardaWorld facility or a facility managed by GardaWorld. GardaWorld has had their own story about this, right? Their view is they weren't responsible for the way that the children were treated. They were responsible for the overall security and the building of that camp. There's a dispute here between the parties as to what exactly took place. These kind of things happen at these kind of facilities. The real challenge, of course, Natasha, as you know, is less about a given facility or a given company. It's about this massive crisis that we have of people crossing the border and the need for states and cities to take care of them. And the challenge these cities and the pressures they're facing and that they're under with this massive migrant population. It is a challenge not just for the cities themselves, the contractors that deliver these services, but the migrants who are coming here and who are in situations which are as difficult or maybe as challenging as where they left.
And Denver has nixed their plans with GardaWorld this year. And we do want to point out NewsNation reached out to GardaWorld. They gave us this statement in part, quote, "We categorically refute all allegations of abuse or neglect in any GardaWorld company operations. We highly value the safety and well-being of the people and communities where we operate." And Jamil, in the meeting on Friday, we heard criticism that the money should go towards lasting infrastructure that can later be used for Chicago's homeless population or the homeless vet population. Do you think that that would be a better use of $30 million?
Well, there's no doubt that putting the money to infrastructure and long-term infrastructure is a good idea. The question is, can you get long-term infrastructure for $30 million, and can you get it by the coming winter? These migrants are in Chicago today. They're not protected. I understand the desire to make something permanent and concrete. The question is, can you get it, and why hasn't the city been acting on this for the months they've known about this problem coming at them?
Okay. Jamil Jaffer, always appreciate your insight and time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.